Hello everyone, yesterday I did a video talking about the top 5 subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8 in the stress test, and today I thought I'd do the opposite and cover the 5 weakest subclasses that'll be coming out in patch 8, as there's some that just really aren't as good as what we already got in the base game. So I'll give us a quick breakdown of all the new subclasses that are coming to patch 8. So we got the Swashbuckler Rogue, which comes with the Pocket Sand. You can throw some sand in their eye, throw some dirt in their eye. You get bonus action abilities. You even get a bonus action Vicious Mockery. It's an interesting subclass, but yeah, it's the Rogue. It's not really that strong as far as the Rogue goes. We also got the College of Glamour Bard, which gives you bonus action abilities to do commands. You also set up temporary health on your teammates, and it's all about charming the targets that you're fighting. We got the Arcane Archer, which is actually a pretty strong one. You get arcane arrows. You get up to 10 of those, which have different abilities like exploding in a huge area of effect, seeking a target like a magic missile, and you can even blind your targets with them. So there's some pretty fun builds, and I think this is the strongest archer class in the actual game. Let's get the Blade Singing Wizard, which allows you to buff yourself up with the Blade Song, which can enhance your armor class. You get 2 attacks. You also get all the spells that a wizard gets. It's actually really strong. We also got ourselves the Shadow Magic Sorcerer, which gets the Hound of Ill Omen. You also get Special Version of Darkness, and you can hide out in it, and you don't get blinded by the darkness, so you can hide out in that and cast your spells from it while your dog runs around ripping people apart. It's a fun one. We also have the Giant Barbarian, which allows you to imbue a weapon with an elemental damage type and gives it the throwing property. So if you want to throw a specific weapon that you normally weren't able to throw because only throwing weapons get the bonus damage applied to them, this will allow you to use any type of weapon. It's pretty cool. The Hexblade Warlock is cool too, because this is actually a very cool single level dip that gives you the ability to use charisma for your attack rolls. So it's great for multi-classing. It's a pretty cool subclass all in all. We also got ourselves a Swarmkeeper Ranger, which gives you 3 different swarms. You get a jellyfish dealing lightning damage, you get the butterfly moths that do psychic damage, and you get bees, which do piercing damage, and they can carry you around the battlefield, and you also get extra damage on your hunter's mark. We also have the Oath of the Crown Paladin, which is kind of like a defender. You can make all targets focus on attacking you by giving disadvantage to attacking your teammates. You also get Spiritual Weapon and Spirit Guardians, which is pretty cool for a paladin to get. We also got ourselves the Circle of the Stars Druid, which gives you 3 different forms. You get the Chalice, the Dragon, and the Archer form, which you can go into and get bonus effects from that. It's an interesting subclass as well. The Death Domain Cleric allows you to target 2 targets with your cantrips, and you also get a variety of different necrotic-based abilities, and you can ignore resistances to necrotic damage, making it actually useful because there's a lot of resistances in this game to necrotic. And we have the Drunken Master Monk, which has the coolest animations in the game, although it is a little bit weaker, and that's going to be one of the ones that we'll explore here. But I'm actually going to start off the one that I think is the absolute weakest, with the College of Glamour Bard. Now, the Bard is in a weird spot because the Sword Bard is, in my opinion, the best class in the entire game. It's extremely powerful. Also, I don't know why, but whenever you zoom in on the character, it now does a little tilting, just a little side note there. But the College of Glamour, with this one you get the Mantle of Inspiration, so you can imbue 2 allies with your vigor and grant them 5 temporary health points. Oh my goodness. If they get hit with a melee attack, the attacker becomes charmed, and that's where it becomes nice. However, there is the Illithid ability Charm, which you can also get, which can charm attackers whenever they hit you. So it's not something that we haven't seen before, but we do have benefits related to the charm targets, which I will be talking about in this video. So once we make our way to level 6 with this subclass, you get the Mantle of Majesty command. You can command a creature to flee, move closer, freeze, drop to the ground, or drop its weapon. This is a bonus action. What's nice about that is you can go in and do your attacks or your spell casting, and then you got a free command spell that you can also cast. Pretty cool. However, there's already a way to do this in the base game that is really easy. Once you get to Act 3, you can get the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. And where this becomes crazy is, let's say you have the Helmet of Arcane Acuity, which you get in Act 1, gives you bonus to your spell save DC whenever you do a weapon attack. If you're a bard, you can take a hand crossbow and use arrow many targets, stack up a +10 to your spell save DC, and then your command is never going to miss, and Band of the Mystic Scoundrel lets you cast Command or Hold Person as a bonus action. So you actually do already have a better version of this all the way through, because that +10 to spell save DC means that this is very, very likely to not miss. So I think it's a 95% hit chance. It comes pretty crazy, and especially so if you can get advantage on that. So I don't really think the Mantle of Majesty is that good in all. And the kicker is the Mantle of Majesty command, not that good, because you can only target 1 person with it. So with the Sword Bard, you can actually target upwards of 6 with it, which is pretty crazy, making this not that good in all honesty. So Yes, it's a bonus action ability, which is nice because this doesn't require a spell slot. However, it's just not that great in the long term because it's only for, you know, one target. And you also got, I guess, the Mantle of Majesty, which is nice for the 11 temporary health points. But there's just a lot of better classes out there. And as far, I mean, when it comes to ranking these subclasses, got to compare them, obviously, to the opportunity cost of not selecting another subclass. So like even the Valor Bard is not that bad. The Sword Bard obviously is miles ahead of both of them. Lore Bard's also pretty good too, but the Sword Bard, 2 attacks. You also get the ability to attack 4 times. You use a slashing flourish on a target. So you can attack the same target 4 times and then cast a bonus action command on 6 targets, which is much better than a single spell from the spell list here, and then the Mantle of Majesty. This class I think is by far the weakest. I'll just be honest with it. I'm trying to experiment with different ways you can power this up, but I just still am thinking about the Sword Bard all the way through. So yeah, I don't think that this one is that powerful. However, next we'll be focusing on the Swashbuckler Rogue. So this one, it gives you the fancy footwork, which is nice. So if you make a melee attack against a target, they can't make an opportunity attack against you for the rest of your turn. That's great. However, the rogue only gets 1 attack. Yes, it can be a sneak attack, and you get a special sneak attack. However, it's not that great. You also get the Rakish Audacity, which gives you a +2 bonus to initiative rolls. This scales with your rogue level. That's nice. And you no longer need advantage to trigger the sneak attack as long as you're within 1.5 meters and don't have disadvantage. So that part is also quite nice. However, most people, when they play the rogue, they want to go for the thief for that extra bonus action because it'll power up their other classes. Even the assassin brings a lot of merit. Getting opportunity attack avoidance and the Rakish Audacity is not that great, especially when there's things like the Gloomstalker Ranger, which would give a better benefit whenever you're adding in all the other things. However, at level 4, we get ourselves the dirty trick. Look at the flick of the wrist. Look at the flick of the wrist. So you flick your weapon and possibly disarm a target as a bonus action. That is really great, making this a pretty decent 4-level dip because you get the feat, obviously, but you also get this, and you get the Vicious Mockery. I'm going to be testing out a build using like the Bard as well as this to give yourself the Vicious Mockery and a bonus action Vicious Mockery just for the ultimate disser. And then you also get the Sand Toss, throw some dirt in their eye, word to King of the Hill. This one makes it so that you can blind a target. These are nice bonus action abilities, and they're good. They're good, honestly. I think they're pretty solid. However, the Rogue itself is not that great. So at level 9, you get the Panache. Roll a persuasion check to beguile a humanoid who must contest it with an insight check. Those who fail get Panache disadvantage, and those who fail get charmed. So yeah, that's okay. I mean, level 9 cap or level 9 ability, not crazy. I think it's cool and all, but typically when you play as a rogue, you're not going to be that strong in comparison to playing like a fighter or a Gloomstalker Ranger or really any other subclass out there. The rogue itself is quite weak. I'll just be honest with it. It is quite weak. But you do get these cool abilities, so you can use this Vicious Mockery, which you can basically just pop down on someone. You also get the Sand Toss, and you also get the Flick of the Wrist, which is nice to disarm a target. And you also get the Panache here, which you can apply to somebody. The Rakish sneak attacks are pretty cool though, so it does give you the ability to just give it an attack on a target you have advantage on, so pretty effective in a slight regard. However, the the best builds involving the rogue, they don't really go past level 3. So the Swashbuckler Rogue, I would have to say, is not that great in all honesty. The rogue itself is not that great, but comparing it between the subclasses, if you go with the thief, you get a bonus action which can be applied to many different classes, like a monk who can use their bonus action to deal over 100 damage. With a with this, you get a bonus action, basically an attack, but you have to go all the way up with the rogue to be able to get this to be strong. It's just not that strong, I'll be honest. And the assassin also has some nice benefits too on the first turn if you want to try to eliminate people as quickly as possible. So all that being said, I think this might be the second weakest. I still think that the Glamour Bard is weaker, and especially with the comparison to the Sword Bard as well. But next we'll be going with the Way of the Drunken Master Monk. This is one of the coolest subclasses and great for role-playing. It is actually one of the best role-playing classes because it does have a lot of things that can affect it that you normally would never use. So you're immune to the negative effects of being drunk. Here, once per day when you drink alcohol, you regain half your key points. perfect for role playing. It actually is very, like, this is probably one of the most fun subclasses. Don't get me wrong. Saying they're weak doesn't mean that they're not fun. However, it's not that great in terms of combat effectiveness when we got the open hand monk being one of the best builds in the game. And even like the Way of the Shadow being one of the best stealth builds in the game, and the Way of the Four Elements being another fun choice, but I think the Way of the Drunken Master is the most fun one here. You also get proficiency in performance, and you get the Drunken technique. Punch twice in quick succession and grant yourself an additional 3 movement speeds and the benefits of disengage. There's some very, very cool attack animations, which I'll show you guys in a moment here. That's another part which makes this awesome. I think that the Blade Singing Wizard and the Drunken Master Monk have the coolest attack animations that get unique to them. But at level 4 here, you also get the Intoxicating Strike, which can possibly make the target drunk. You throw a bottle up and you punch it into their face. It's hilarious. And this is a bonus action or an action using a key point as well. Subclass feature, redirect attack. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend 1 key point as a reaction to make the attack a new target. This is also pretty good. So if someone's attacking you and misses you, you can go, "Whiff, not me," and hit somebody else. I think that's pretty funny. You also get the leap to your feet. When you're prone, you only use 1.5 meters of your movement speed. That's also nice, but how often you go prone in the run of a playthrough? So it's not often. You also get the life of the party. Every time Intoxicating Strike hits, the monk gains life of the party, which is increases armor class and attack rolls against drunk targets. This can stack up to a +5, which is actually pretty strong. However, you have to get the targets drunk, and by that point, they're probably going to be close to death. Or if you're an open hand monk, you could have punched them to death already. I don't see the I mean, outside of role playing, I don't see the appeal to this class. I think it's a fun class and great for role playing, but that's what it's meant for. You also get the Sobering Realization here: 1d8 plus 3 bludgeoning plus 1d4 or 1d8 plus 2 psychic damage. Hit a drunk target and sober them up by dealing bonus psychic damage. On a successful hit, you lose life of the party, so you lose that armor class bonus. Just kind of sucks, but is what it is. And yeah, as you continue to level up at level 11, you get the Drunkard's Luck. Whenever you make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and have disadvantage on the throw, you can make a 2-point use 2 key points to get rid of the disadvantage. That itself is pretty nice, but you're going to burn through your key points. And I'll just go all the way up here so that you can see how many key points you end up losing, because you don't get many of them. However, you can, once per long rest, get them back. So you got 13 of them there, and you're going to be burning through them. So the thing that I think is hilarious is Intoxicating Strike. Just look at this. Throw the bottle up and punch it into their head. Bonk. And then you get yourself the life of the party, which gives you a nice plus bonus to your attacks. And we made Gale drunk. It's cool. I love seeing the bottle get thrown up in the air. It's really nice. I love the animations for that. So you also get the Drunken technique here. Cool attack animations, as you can see. So I think that part is really awesome. It reminds me of Rock Lee from Naruto whenever he's fighting Kimimaro. If anyone knows that reference, please leave a comment and talk about that, because I think this is exactly what it reminds me of. It's cool though. I love this attack animation. That's got to be one of the coolest attack animations in the game. So then once you got that, you got the Sobering Realization here. The target has to be drunk, so we're going to get Gale drunk again. But you burn through your key points pretty quickly with a class like this. Most monks do get a pretty go through their animations pretty quickly, so that is just unfortunately a part of it. So is what it is. We unfortunately took Gale down there. Sorry, Gale. He didn't get drunk, he just got beat up. But yeah, then you use the Sobering Realization here, get a little additional damage on your attacks. I mean, the monk at the end of the day can be kind of strong if you use Tavern Brawler and Strength Potions, but you're way better off going with the Open Hand Monk, because the damage potential from that is way higher. And again, this is comparing the opportunity cost of these, so this one actually is probably the true second worst one. The Rogue is just also very weak in general. This at least gets an extra attack, so I think this one is a bit stronger than the Rogue, but not by a whole lot. Now this is where it got really hard, because in my last video I said that the Arcane Archer, the Blade Singer, Shadow Magic Sorcerer, the Giant Barbarian, and the Hexblade were the top 5 strongest classes, so I put them right in the middle there, a little sneaky. So this leaves us with obviously these two, and also we covered a Drunken Master Monk. Now the Paladin, at the end of the day, all Paladin subclasses are fairly, level with each other. I like the Oath of the Crown Paladin. I think it's actually a pretty decent subclass because it gets Spiritual Weapon and Spirit Guardians. So this actually becomes, I think, one of the best Radiating Orb builds in the game, because you can go in Divine Smite, set up your Radiating Orbs. You got your Spirit Guardians, which set up Radiating Orbs. You got a lot of things going for it. Now, The Circle of Stars Druid I don't think it holds a torch to the Land Druid, the Moon Druid especially, and the Spore Druid. I think this is a little bit weaker. However, the Death Domain Cleric, it also doesn't hold a torch to Tempest or Light Cleric. But the Swarm Keeper, I think that this one is the, I would say, fourth weakest. It's interesting. So I think the Gloomstalker is better. The Gloomstalker is also a great dip if you want to take just 5 levels in this and then throw in like the Rogue Thief or the Rogue Assassin. That becomes really strong. And then you can also add in the Fighter for Action Surge. The Hunter and the Beastmaster require you to go to level 11 to get their most beneficial abilities. So they're good, but they require a full investment. The Hunter, I think, is probably the strongest subclass of the Fighter or of the Ranger. But the Ranger in general is just like, it's not as good as the others. But the Swarm Keeper is kind of interesting. I think it's interesting, but it's not strong. So you get the Praise Scent. You deal additional damage to targets marked with Hunter's Mark. You get Mage Hand. You also get Fairy Fire. Great spells. Then you get to choose the Legion of Bees, Cloud of Jellyfish, or the Flurry of Moths. And obviously your spells here. We also want the Hunter's Mark. This is good too. This can shock targets. The Legion of Bees can push the target and deal piercing damage. This one deals lightning. And the Flurry of Moths do psychic damage and blind your target. I think the Flurry of Moths is the best. However, I like the animations that you get. Like whenever you're playing with this class, you got these little jellyfish floating around you. I think that that is super, super cool. I love the look of that. But again, it's not that strong. And this is basing them based on their strength overall. So you can switch these out anytime you want if you want a different choice. You also get the extra attack as per usual as a ranger. You also get web, which here, yeah, it's a decent spell, but you can also just, you know, go with the Beastmaster and have their spider set this up for us. I mean, I wouldn't waste my action when you get 2 attacks to use that. So this is almost like something that's kind of useless in a sense. The ranger itself gets okay spell selection too. Once you get to level 7, you get the Writhing Tide, so you can use your little swarm to carry you 3 meters, protecting you from surface effects, which is nice if there's ice on the floor. But there's also obviously boots that prevent any of those issues. And you get a currency called the Writhing Current, or a resource that allows you to cast that. So it's cool, I guess, but you'll see, not that strong. And at level 9, we get ourselves another Writhing Current and the Gaseous Form spell, which allows you to transform into a small place. Cool. Again, not something super crazy useful. It's just there. At level 10, we get the Hide in Plain Sight, which you do as any type of ranger. So that's something that's pretty common for a ranger. But again, the ranger itself is not that strong. But once we get to level 11, we get the Mighty Swarm. Your swarm is growing stronger. Their attack now does a 1d8 damage, so it's a little bit better. Its special attack is one additional feature. It can teleport you and increase your armor class for the rest of the round. Whenever it teleports you, it's going to increase your armor class by 2, which is nice. But again, it's not like crazy effective. So what this ends up looking like, and the reason I don't think it's that strong, so we got ourselves a little jellyfish there. The Writhing Tides. You get this 3 meters movement speed, which is nice. So they will carry you around. It's cool. It prevents you from slipping on ice. This does use your bonus action and a resource you only get 4 of. So something to keep in mind. It's going to be like it's like Misty Step, but worse, which you get Misty Step from the Gloomstalker Ranger. So, I don't know how I feel about that. But whenever you attack, that's whenever you're able to apply your jellyfish attack or whatever really attack you're going with. Sorry, Karlak, I don't mean to hit you here. But you get the Mighty Teleport, so you can give yourself that +2 to armor class. You got the Mighty, so you can shock and disarm your target, which actually is pretty good. Or you can use it, you can make it so that they attack the target, which unfortunately did no damage there. I'll attack Astarion just to make it even here. And whenever we attack with this, you can potentially disarm the target, which is nice. I think that itself is really good. However, it's just not that strong in comparison to the other subclasses. I think this is another one where it's fun, definitely fun. But at the end of the day, it's a ranger. Rangers in Baldur Dungeons and Dragons typically are not that great. I'm just being honest. It's a class that's not super powerful. I love this concept. I love the animations. I think it's great. However, this is ranking them strongest to weakest, and I do think that this one does lack what some of the others bring to the table. So for that, we're going to go with that there. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the final subclass going to be? So this was a tough one because all of these here are eliminated. We're really stuck between the Oath of the Crown Paladin, the Circle of Stars Druid, and the Death Cleric. So this is a tough choice because all 3 of these classes are strong. At the end of the day, a druid, a sorcerer, or a druid, a cleric, and a paladin will be powerful. So we got to rank these between the subclasses and compare them to the other subclasses. So built to the Crown Paladin, I think the Vengeance Paladin's a little bit stronger. It gets Misty Step and Hold Person. However, this one gets a nice ability to kind of goad everyone to attack you. So it's a great defender. You also get Spirit Guardians. So I think this one actually is pretty strong. It's not going to be as strong as the others, but it's still strong. I like it personally. So now it's down between the Circle of Stars Druid and the Death Domain Cleric. The Cleric is stronger than the Druid. We'll just, at the base class itself, you get better spells as a Cleric, you get better abilities. The Circle of Stars Druid, however, actually brings some interesting things to the table. So you get the Dragon Breath ability, which does radiant damage in a large cone. This is a bonus action ability. So the Druid has some great crowd control. You also get the Luminous Arrow, which can do a 2d8 plus Wisdom modifier radiant damage as a bonus action. That's actually a pretty good bonus action ability. The Death Domain Cleric, however, it doesn't bring as much to the table. With this, you get a choice of a Necromancy cantrip. Awesome. You also get the False Life and Ray of Sickness spells, which you're not going to use Ray of Sickness very often because everything resists poison early game. And it's just, I feel like there's better spells out there to use. It also gets the Reaper, so your Necromancy cantrips can target an additional target, which is nice for Toll the Dead. You can hit 2 people with your cantrip. That's pretty good. However, I think the Circle of Stars Druid is a little bit better. Now this was close. This was actually very close. I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been testing them all out, breaking them all down, trying to see which of these is the strongest. And I think the Death Domain Cleric is actually a little bit weaker. Now the Cleric itself, don't get me wrong on this. This is hard to pick the 5th class here. I think the Cleric itself is strong. However, when we're comparing it to the Tempest Domain, this is one of the best classes in the game. 11 levels of Tempest Domain, you can maximize lightning damage. And then you can take a single level of the Wizard, use the Headband of Intelligence, and you can cast Chain Lightning, which will guaranteed do 168 damage and spread the 3 targets. Guaranteed 168 damage if you have Create Water set up. And that's a spell that you get with Tempest. Very powerful. I think this is one of the most powerful builds in the entire game. The Light Domain, this is another very powerful one because it's a defender. It can give radiating orbs on targets. It can reduce the target's attack rolls. You can do a lot with the Light Domain Cleric. It also gets Fireball and Wall of Fire. Great spell list. It's pretty strong offensively. The Life Domain Cleric, really great healer. The War Domain, great single level dip. The Nature Domain, actually one of the strongest subclasses in like the first 3 levels of the game because you get Shalala, and it's actually a pretty strong one. The Death Domain doesn't really defy what we already got. So you get the choice of special cantrips related to necromancy. So you get Toll the Dead, Bone Chill, or Bursting Sinew, which does piercing damage exploding a corpse. The best one here is probably Bone Chill, I'll be honest. This is what only does 1d8, but it makes the target not get healed. With the Toll the Dead, you can do additional damage, but it normally will do 1d8 if it's full health. So yeah, Bone Chill ends up being a little bit better in most situations, for the most part, but a single 1d12, it can scales up to 3d12, so it's a little bit better. But the thing is, we don't get that many great abilities here. So as we continue to level up here, you get your Channel Divinity, you also get the Toll the Dead, but our Touch of Death. So when you hit a creature with a melee attack, you use your Channel Divinity to deal additional necrotic damage. It actually has quite a bit extra necrotic damage. I think it ends up being like a 2d8 plus Wisdom modifier of necrotic. That's awesome. One little thing. The Cleric doesn't melee attack often, and that's tough because it specifies melee attack. Because what I do when I play Cleric, let's say we're playing as a Tempest Domain Cleric, I like to have a hand crossbow because you can get your special ability to add the thunder damage on each thing and push people back with a bonus action attack. With this, you can't use a hand crossbow to trigger the Touch of Death. So, womp womp. It's just not as good as the Tempest ability to maximize their lightning damage. I'll just put it out there. This is comparing it to the other subclasses. You also get to yourself the Blindness and Ray of Enfeeblement spells, but we can already get Blindness, and Ray of Enfeeblement's just okay. Deals half damage when they attack with strength. And early game, everybody and their dog is dexterity based, so that doesn't really fly too much in the early game of Baldur's Gate 3. So again, just doesn't feel like it's very strong until level 6 comes around. We get ourselves a free Animate Dead. That's cool, but this is a domain spell. I also get Vampiric Touch, which is nice for healing, but getting into melee range, it's not something the Cleric always wants to do. Now, level 6, this is when we actually get a nice little benefit with the Inescapable Destruction. You can ignore the resistance to necrotic damage. That's great. However, it does take half the game to get there. So it's nice, yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of necrotic resistance in the early game. So this does come at a good time, I guess, in Act 2, where you're going to be dealing with things that have necrotic damage resistance. At level 8, we get the Divine Strike. Whenever you do a melee attack, you get an additional 1d8 of necrotic damage on it. So that itself is also nice. Again, necrotic damage is not amazing, but ignoring resistances makes it a little bit better. We also get the Cloud Kill and the Contagion spells. And what's cool about Cloud Kill is you're going to set up Hero's Feast, and Hero's Feast actually blocks you and your entire team from taking damage from Cloud Kill. So nice little synergy there if you wanted to go with some undead, but there's much better Necromancer-based classes in the game. This could work well if you went with a full Necromancer team, but at the end of the day, it's just not that strong. Cloud Kill is kind of a spell that people kind of ignore just because poison damage is not that strong. As we continue, you get, again, cantrip choices here. And at level 11, you get the ever-powerful Planner Ally here, and that's nice and all, but the Cleric of Death, it does not have that much strength to it. So whenever you go ahead here with like an attack, whenever you do a melee attack, you get that extra necrotic on your attack. So you Divine Strike necrotic, which does a 1d8 extra necrotic damage, or you can do the Touch of Death, which gives you a +5 plus a 2d12 necrotic conditional. This does use your Channel Divinity up, which you only get 2 of. And you can see there, we only did 13 damage with it, so it wasn't even that crazy strong either. So, yeah, we got 2 of those, which did 12 and 13 damage. Not that strong. And then you also got only 1 attack per turn, the Necrotic Strike, and did 2d. It's okay. It's just okay. The spells, I mean, Blade is okay too. Nothing here is really standing out. You do get the Toll the Dead, which you can apply to 2 people at once, which is kind of cool. But for a single action, I mean, there's a lot of better options out there, especially going with something like the, if you have the Cleric, or if you have the Tempest Cleric, it's just going to be stronger. So I think the Death Domain is fun. Again, these classes are all really fun. Don't get me wrong on this. I'm not dumping on these. I think that they're all great in their own right and great for role-playing. But when we look at them from the strength-based perspective, there's some that just lack. So I guess I would say the Cleric, again, end of the day, is really strong. So the weakest would be the Glamour Bard. Next would be probably Swashbuckler Rogue. Then the Drunken Master. It's kind of between those. Drunken Master, Swarm Keeper, and then the Death Domain Cleric. All of these can be really fun, though, so don't let my opinion sway you from playing something if you really want to play it. You don't have to go with the strongest build in the game. If you did, you just play Sword Bard, Draconic Sorcerer, Tempest Cleric, and Open Hand Monk. Those would be the top 4 strongest. But Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing because of all the great choices you can make and play how you want to play. So just thought this would be a fun video because I talked about the top 5 strongest ones yesterday, which I will have linked in the comments and in the description, so you can check that video out if you want to see the opposite of this. I hope you found this video fun or useful. Please hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I'll see you guys all in the next video, and I hope you all have a great day.